Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Well, welcome to the program today. Before I get started, in terms of covering what we usually cover, the war in Ukraine, the possible U.S. Military action against Iran, I want to cover the culture war here in the United States very quickly. Taylor Swift. Lots of deep fakes going around about Taylor Swift. And the government, the tech industry is acting like this is something new because it affects Taylor Swift. Now, look, this is not new. The deepfake issue has been going around for quite some time. The only reason that it is taking headlines now is because it's focused on Taylor Swift, the manufactured celebrity here in the United States. And I say that absolutely, she is a manufactured celebrity. On a talent scale of 1, that would be me, the voice of reason, to a 10 would probably be Tina Turner, Elvis Presley, actual God-given talent. Taylor Swift would probably be a 2.5 to maybe a 3. I have yet to hear any song that will carry over generationally. That's not happening. So the only reason she's in the position that she's in now is she was manufactured. And she was largely manufactured by the political left, or have been taken over by the political left here in the United States. And that's the only reason now you are seeing these deep fakes about Taylor Swift, why that is now becoming an issue, because they targeted their golden child. And yes, I think there's a lot of merit to the possibility that the relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and this relationship with the NFL, is completely manufactured. Completely, absolutely manufactured. And she is a darling of the left. She is a darling of the regime that controls the White House. There are deepfakes that have existed with the political enemies of the left, the political enemies of the current regime, the Joseph Biden regime that controls the White House. Those political enemies have many, many, many deepfakes. They're out there. But you only hear this shrill outcry when they target the golden child, the temporary golden child, because again, she really has no talent. Taylor Swift has very little talent. She's like 40 years old and she's running around in a 1950s one-piece on stage, and she can barely sing. What is that device, auto-tune? I mean, if it wasn't for auto-tune, she'd be laughed off stage. So here at MFAN, we have to create the anti-Swiftie movement. Because she's worthless. No talent. No talent at all. I mean, to even compare her with, say, Tina Turner or actual talent, it's really reprehensible. Really reprehensible. And yeah, Tina Turner, may she rest in peace. Absolute God-given talent. So, that's that. Just had to cover it, just had to talk about it, and tell me what you think in the comment section. Iran. So there is now talk about the possibility the U.S. is going to strike naval assets of Iran. That the United States may not strike directly on Iranian territory. That the U.S. could be looking to strike either vessels in port or vessels at sea, and then sink those ships, much like Operation Praying Mantis in the 80s. Now, Iran is also drawing its line in the sand. Iran is stating that if there is an attack on Iran, then Iran is going to retaliate in a very big way. And what is that very big way? Well, it's going to be ballistic missiles. Just like before, when the head of the Iranian Republican Guard was killed at the Baghdad International Airport by a U.S. drone strike. Now, I have to tell you, in that specific strike, there was a retaliatory attack by Iran. But I have to wonder, in killing of Soleimani, did the Trump administration do a favor for the mullahs in Tehran? Well, you may ask yourself, well, how on earth would the killing of the head of the Revolutionary Guard, Soleimani, help the mullahs that run the country in Tehran? Soleimani was becoming incredibly powerful. In all probability, more powerful than the mullahs in Tehran. Now, we haven't heard outright of a possible power struggle, but we know that he was becoming incredibly popular in Iran. So popular that he could essentially do what he wanted. Much of what was happening in Syria was not through the policy manufacture in Tehran, but it was the direct edicts of Soleimani himself. So was it a favor? Was it something that helped the regime in Tehran by getting rid of Soleimani? Just throwing it out there. Tell me what you think. I think there's some merit to it. I think it could have served two purposes. Two purposes. And it may have just done that when it happened. But what is the United States going to do? When can we expect this U.S. strike against Iran? Now, if you look at the mainstream media, they are now focusing on the death of the 3 American service members. And I think you know what I'm talking about. They're focusing on those 3 service members. They are ratcheting up the level of emotion in the United States. Look, a lot of this is purpose-driven. So now the question is by doing that, is the United States telegraphing a quite serious punch against Iran? You have to look at that. And I would say it's possible. My biggest concern is we don't know who is calling the shots here in the United States. Who is the actual decision maker? Look, we know it's not Joseph Biden. When I say the Joseph Biden regime, I am talking about the people behind the scenes. The left-wing radicals that control the country behind the scenes. Because it's certainly not Joseph Biden. We have now received a multitude of reports that indicate that he roams around the White House in a secured area naked at times. They have him heavily medicated on drugs that are supposed to help his cognitive functions. Not working. It's the dementia is taking over, and you can clearly see it. It's happening. So his capacity to make decisions, to be given a presidential brief or a military assessment on what the United States could do, varying options. He is not in that decision-making process. And that should concern all Americans. Because then the question is who is? Obviously, some Americans believe that he was rightfully elected. And that this person that was elected is ultimately calling the shots and making the decisions. But he's not. It's someone else. And our understanding, it's absolutely not Kamala Harris. So again, then the question is, who is it? Who's running the country? So that person or group of people who is now running the United States, which we simply don't know who that is not going to want to give up that power. And that's the elections that are coming up. Does it concern you? It concerns me. I have no idea who is calling the shots at this point. I know it's not Joseph Biden. He can't. It's not possible. If the absolute best that we get from Joseph Biden is these brief encounters with the media, which is just completely cringeworthy. Just think how bad it is behind the scenes. Just think how bad it is when he is not prepped, when he is not heavily medicated to get his brain back for a very short period of time. What does that look like at its worst? Because look, we're seeing during these presidential addresses, when he speaks to the media, we're seeing the absolute very best charade that can be done on Biden. What does it look like when he steps away from the camera, when he's not being medicated? I bet it's frightening. I bet it's absolutely terrifying. And it should terrify you. Because we don't know who's running the country. We don't know who's making the decision to attack Iran now. Alrighty. We're also continuing to watch the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Not much to report. There have been several, and there continues to be localized offensive operations by the Russian military against the Ukrainian military. We have seen larger armored attacks taking place to the north near Kupiansk. And we're continuing to see the buildup of Russian forces as well for this much anticipated strike that could completely debilitate the Ukrainian military. It could completely crush and cause major breakthroughs along the front line. We also think there is a technology issue as well that the Russians are looking at, specifically the ability to take down drones through electronic warfare. And much of that technology, obviously, with the larger Russian defense budget, that technology is now being pushed to the forefront and is probably on a fast track for Russian deployment. So that's where we set for today. We will have more very, very soon. As always, thanks for joining us. Have a good day.